It's confirmed. One country has started bringing in the beast system. October 27th, 2025. The European Union made an announcement that very few understand. You will be shocked by 11 revelations about Europe's digital identity system that match biblical prophecy with terrifying precision. Discovery 1. The regulation that changed everything. All right, let's start with what actually happened. The eIDAS 2.0 regulation. eIDAS stands for Electronic Identification, Authentication, and Trust Services. The original version was adopted in 2014 and established basic rules for digital signatures and electronic identification across EU member states. But the 2.0 version? That's a completely different beast. eIDAS 2.0 was officially adopted and entered into force in May 2024. And buried in that regulation is a mandate that fundamentally transforms how identity, commerce, and daily life will function in Europe. Here's the core requirement. Every EU member state must create and offer a European digital identity wallet, called the EUDI wallet, to all citizens, residents, and businesses operating within its borders. This isn't a suggestion. This isn't an optional program that countries can choose to participate in or ignore. This is a legal obligation. Every single European Union member state must build this infrastructure, and they have until December 2026 to do it. The EUDI wallet is a free mobile application that functions as a digital vault for your identity and credentials. Think of it like Apple Wallet or Google Pay, but instead of just storing credit cards and boarding passes, it stores everything. Your government-issued ID, your driver's license, your passport, your social security information, your educational diplomas and professional certifications, everything that proves who you are, what you're qualified to do, what you own, and what you're allowed to access, all in one app on your phone. The EU's pitch is simple: convenience. Instead of carrying a physical wallet with multiple cards and documents, instead of emailing PDFs of your diploma to prove your education, instead of waiting in line at government offices to get copies of records, you just pull out your phone and tap. One app, one system, all of Europe. And the EU is selling this as the future of digital freedom. Frictionless commerce, seamless services, privacy-preserving verification. But here's what they don't emphasize in the promotional materials. This isn't just about convenience. It's about control. We're currently in the pilot phase. As of October 2025, there are 4 large-scale pilot programs running across Europe, funded directly by the European Commission. These pilots are testing real-world applications. And on October 16, 2025, just 2 weeks ago, the EU held a major seminar in Brussels, bringing together banks, payment processors, technology companies, and government officials to discuss how to integrate the EUDI wallet into existing financial infrastructure. By December 2026, 14 months from now, every one of the 27 EU member states must offer at least one version of the EUDI wallet to all citizens, residents, and businesses. Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Poland, Romania, Netherlands, Belgium, Greece, Portugal, Sweden, Austria, Hungary, all of them. 450 million people will have access to this wallet. But here's what makes this phase critical. It's not just that the wallets will be available. It's that public services must accept them. Starting in December 2026, if you show up at a government office, tax agency, social services, passport office, whatever, and you present your EUDI wallet for identification or authentication, they are legally required to accept it. No more, "Sorry, we only take physical IDs." No more, "Our system doesn't work with that." If you have the wallet, they have to take it. This creates the first level of necessity, because once government services accept it, once it becomes the easier way to interact with bureaucracy, people will start using it. But Phase 2 is just the setup. Phase 3 is where the control really kicks in. By December 2027, 26 months from now, private sector companies in specific regulated industries must accept the EUDI wallet. Who's included in this mandate? Banks and financial institutions. Under the EU's Payment Services Directive, PSD2, any bank operating in Europe must accept the wallet for identity verification and authentication. Now, the EU will tell you that use of the wallet is voluntary for citizens. Companies can't deny you a service just because you don't have the wallet. But that's a lie by omission. Because if every bank requires digital verification through the wallet, if every employer checks credentials through the wallet, if every essential service integrates the wallet as the primary authentication method, what choice do you really have? You can technically refuse to use it, just like you can technically refuse to use a computer or a smartphone. But good luck functioning in modern society without one. If this is just about digital convenience, why the rush? Why the mandatory deadlines? Why the legal penalties for non-compliance? And why does it look exactly like the first phase of a system the Bible warned about? Discovery 2. The 27 nations with one mind. Now I want you to think about something that should be impossible. Getting 27 European nations to agree on anything is notoriously difficult. France and Germany have different priorities. Eastern European countries clash with Western Europe on policy. Southern Europe fights with Northern Europe over economics. The EU is famous for endless debates, bureaucratic gridlock, and nationalist resistance to centralized authority. And yet, somehow, all 27 member states agreed to eIDAS 2.0. All 27 agreed to build the EUDI wallet. All 27 agreed to mandatory deadlines. No major opposition. No countries opting out. No significant resistance. How is that possible? Biblical parallel. Turn in your Bible to Revelation chapter 17. This is the vision of the woman riding the beast, Babylon the Great, drunk on the blood of the saints. And in verse 12, John sees something specific about the political structure of the end times. Revelation 17:12-13. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These have one mind. 10 kings, 10 kingdoms, 10 power centers, and they all have one mind. They surrender their sovereignty. They give their power and strength to the beast. One unified system, one central authority, one mind. Now, the EU currently has 27 member states, not 10. But the EU started with 10 founding members. These have one mind. France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Poland, nations that fought wars against each other for centuries, now submitting to unified regulations, centralized control, standardized systems. And nowhere is that unity more visible than in the EUDI wallet. This isn't science fiction. This is how programmable currency works. China already has this system operational with the digital yuan. They're using it to enforce social credit scores, restrict purchases based on behavior, and control economic activity. And Europe is building the same infrastructure. Discovery 4. Revelation 13 coming to life. All right, we need to talk about what the Bible actually says, because everything I've shown you so far, the digital wallet, the mandatory timelines, the unified system, the programmable currency, it all sounds ominous. But is it actually biblical? Is this really the fulfillment of prophecy? Or am I just cherry-picking scary-sounding policies and connecting them to Scripture through confirmation bias? Let me read you what the Apostle John saw in his vision 2,000 years ago, and you tell me if this sounds familiar. The prophecy. Revelation 13:16-18. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Read that again carefully. He causeth all, not some, not a few, all, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, universal, every class, every status, everyone, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. A mark, something that identifies you, something associated with the body, specifically the right hand or the forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. Economic control. You can't participate in commerce without the mark. Can't buy food. Can't sell your labor. Can't access the economic system. The mark becomes the gateway to survival. Detail 1. He causeth all. The EUDI wallet isn't optional for member states. It's not optional for public services. It's not optional for banks and regulated industries. By December 2027, every institution you need to interact with to function in European society is required to integrate this system. 450 million people across 27 nations, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. If you want to work, you need verified credentials in the wallet. If you want to access healthcare, you need records in the wallet. If you want to bank, you need identity in the wallet. If you want to travel, you need documents in the wallet. The system is designed to be universal. No man might buy or sell. This is the key, because digital identity alone isn't enough. Verification alone isn't enough. But when you combine digital identity with a central bank digital currency, when you make the wallet the gateway to both identity and money, then you have complete control over buying and selling. Without the wallet, you can't access your digital euros. Without the wallet, you can't verify your identity for banking. Without the wallet, you can't authorize transactions. No wallet equals no buying or selling. And because cash is being phased out, because physical currency is being replaced by digital, because the system is moving toward CBDC-only transactions, the wallet becomes the only way to participate in the economy. Just like Revelation 13 describes. Detail 4. The progression pattern. Now, I need to be clear about something. The EUDI wallet is not the mark of the beast. Not yet. Because Revelation 13 includes one more detail that hasn't been implemented. Worship. Revelation 13:15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. The mark of the beast isn't just an economic control system. It's a religious loyalty test. Taking the mark means worshiping the beast, pledging allegiance to the Antichrist, rejecting God. And that element isn't part of the EUDI wallet. There's no religious component, no worship requirement. So what we're watching right now isn't the mark itself. It's the infrastructure for the mark. Let me show you the progression. Stage 1. Introduce as convenience. We are here. Look how easy this makes your life. One app for everything. No more carrying documents. Stage 2. Make it available everywhere. December 2026. Public services accept it. Companies integrate it. It becomes the standard. Stage 3. Make it necessary for essential services. December 2027. Banking requires it. Employment requires it. Healthcare requires it. You can't function without it. Stage 4. Make it impossible to function without it. Post-2028, cash is phased out. Digital currency launches. The wallet becomes the only access point to the economy. Stage 5. Tie it to worship and allegiance. Tribulation. The Antichrist demands worship. The system that started as convenience becomes a loyalty test. Refuse to worship. Lose access to everything. We're currently in stages 1 to 3. We're watching stages 4 and 5 being built in real time. The Antichrist doesn't need to create this system from scratch. It's already being built for him. All he has to do is take control of the existing infrastructure and add the worship component. And here's what should make you pay attention to the timelines. The EUDI wallet is mandatory by December 2027. That's 26 months away. We're not talking about distant future prophecy. We're talking about a system that will be fully operational and mandatory within 3 years. And the digital euro, the programmable currency that gives total economic control, launches around the same time. By 2028, Europe will have everything in place. A unified digital identity, a programmable digital currency, universal mandatory integration, complete economic control. The only missing piece is the Antichrist himself. But the throne is being prepared. The control system is being built. The infrastructure is almost complete. And when he appears, when the man of sin is revealed, when the beast rises to power, he won't need to convince people to adopt a new system. He'll just take over the system that already exists. Discovery 5. Other prophecies converging. Now, Revelation 13 isn't the only biblical prophecy that describes an end-times economic and political control system. Throughout the Old and New Testaments, multiple prophets saw visions of a final world government, a unified system of control, and a beast kingdom that would rule the earth before Christ's return. And when you read those prophecies and then look at what's happening in Europe right now, the parallels are undeniable. Daniel 7, the fourth beast. Daniel chapter 7 describes Daniel's vision of 4 beasts representing 4 kingdoms. The fourth beast is particularly terrifying. Daniel 7:23. Thus he said, "The fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces." The fourth kingdom will be diverse from all kingdoms, different from anything that's come before, more powerful, more pervasive, and it will devour the whole earth. Not just one region, not just one continent, the whole earth. Now, historically, the fourth kingdom has been identified as Rome. The Roman Empire conquered the known world, established unprecedented control systems, and created infrastructure that lasted for centuries. But Rome fell. The Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 AD. Except it didn't really fall. It transformed. The Eastern Roman Empire continued as Byzantium until 1453. And the territories of the old Roman Empire, they became modern Europe. The European Union occupies almost the exact same geography as the Roman Empire at its height. And what we're watching now is the revival of centralized control over that same territory. A digital empire, a technological beast, different from all kingdoms that came before. And the EUDI wallet? It's the control mechanism for that beast kingdom. Here's another prophecy that often gets overlooked in discussions about end times economics, but it's incredibly relevant. 1 Thessalonians 5:1-3. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, Peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. When they shall say, Peace and safety. What's the EU's pitch for the digital wallet? Security fraud prevention, safe cross-border transactions, protection against identity theft, convenient and secure digital services, peace and safety. And what's the pitch for the digital euro? Financial stability, protection from foreign interference, sovereign European payments, safe, trusted, secure currency, peace and safety. Then sudden destruction cometh upon them. Not gradually, not predictably, suddenly, like labor pains on a woman with child. And once it begins, there's no escape. The system that was sold as security becomes a prison. The infrastructure that promised convenience becomes control. The digital wallet that was supposed to protect your privacy becomes the tool of total surveillance. Peace and safety. And then destruction. A fourth kingdom that's different from all others. Daniel 7. A digital empire unlike anything in history. Checkmark. 10 horns, kings giving power to a central authority. Daniel 7, Revelation 17. European nations surrendering sovereignty to EU checkmark. A unified mind among nations. Revelation 17:13. 27 nations all implementing the same system with no opposition checkmark. Economic control over buying and selling. Revelation 13. Digital wallet plus CBDC equals complete control checkmark. Universal system affecting all classes. Revelation 13:16. Mandatory integration across all sectors and all people checkmark. Sold as peace and safety before sudden destruction. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. EU's security pitch before control activates checkmark. This isn't one prophecy being loosely interpreted. This is multiple prophecies from multiple books written by multiple authors over hundreds of years, all describing the same end times system. And all of them match what's being built in Europe right now. Discovery 6. Global precedent. Now, if you're still skeptical about whether a digital identity system can really become mandatory in practice even when it's voluntary in law, let me show you what's already happened. Because Europe isn't pioneering this. They're copying a model that's already been tested on over 1 billion people. India's Aadhaar system. What is Aadhaar? Aadhaar is a 12-digit unique identity number issued by the Indian government to all residents of India. It's linked to biometric data, fingerprints, and iris scans. When you enroll in Aadhaar, you provide your biometric data, and that data is stored in a centralized government database. Your Aadhaar number becomes your universal identifier across all government and private services. The program launched in 2009. By 2025, over 1.3 billion people are enrolled, more than 95% of India's population. And here's the key detail. Aadhaar is officially voluntary. The Indian Supreme Court ruled in 2018 that Aadhaar cannot be mandatory for most services. The government cannot force you to enroll, but in practice, it's required for almost everything. How voluntary became necessary. When Aadhaar launched, it was sold as a convenience for accessing government subsidies and benefits. Poor people could use it to prove their identity and receive welfare payments, food rations, pensions. That sounds great, right? Helping the poor access services. But then the scope expanded. Want to open a bank account? Need Aadhaar? Want a mobile phone SIM card? Need Aadhaar. Want to file taxes? Need Aadhaar. Want to enroll your child in school? Need Aadhaar. Want a driver's license? Need Aadhaar. Want to register property? Need Aadhaar. Want to get married? Official government registration? Need Aadhaar. Within a few years, Aadhaar went from voluntary program for welfare recipients to required for basically everything. And even though the Supreme Court ruled it can't be mandatory, private companies and state governments still require it because there's no alternative system that works as smoothly. So technically, Aadhaar is voluntary. Practically, it's compulsory. What happened to people who couldn't enroll? And here's where it gets dark. Not everyone can enroll in Aadhaar. Elderly people with worn fingerprints, manual laborers whose hands are too damaged for fingerprint scanners, people with eye conditions that prevent iris scanning. What happens to them? They're locked out of banking, locked out of benefits, locked out of essential services. There have been documented cases of elderly pensioners, and then there's the privacy nightmare. India's Aadhaar database, containing biometric data for 1.3 billion people, has been breached multiple times. In 2018, journalists discovered that Aadhaar data was being sold on WhatsApp for as little as 500 rupees, about $6. You could buy access to anyone's Aadhaar information, including their photo, fingerprints, and address. In 2019, security researchers found that the Aadhaar database was accessible through a simple SQL injection attack. Any moderately skilled hacker could access the entire database. The government denied these breaches, then admitted them, then claimed they fixed the problems, and then more breaches were discovered. When you centralize biometric data for over 1 billion people in a government database, you create the world's most valuable target for hackers, criminals, and foreign intelligence agencies. And of course, Aadhaar gives the Indian government unprecedented surveillance capabilities. Every time you use your Aadhaar to authenticate, the government knows. Every transaction, every service access, every location. The government can track where you are, what you're doing, who you're interacting with. And because Aadhaar is linked to your bank account, the government can see every rupee you earn and every rupee you spend. Total financial surveillance, total identity tracking, total control. So why am I telling you about India's Aadhaar system? Because Europe is following the exact same playbook. Introduce the system as voluntary and convenient. Integrate it into essential services so it becomes necessary in practice. Expand the scope until it's required for everything. Lock out people who can't or won't comply. Create a centralized database that becomes a surveillance and hacking target. Give the government total visibility into identity, finances, and behavior.